We talked about this with Curbs during the broadcast. You know, when these two teams play each other, the winner always wins the net front battle. And although I don't think the Blues won the net front battle in this game, I do think the net front battle was won with that Toropchenko and Walker line when they were out there on the ice. So the physicality was there. The responsibility was there. I'll be really interested to see who Jim Montgomery decides to pair up with those two, because obviously Radek Fakso was with them so much last season. Who gets to be that third man on what used to be known as the WTF line? So a couple of honorary takeaways, because I know I have more than three in this one. Kaskamaki stuck out to me a couple of times, just his ability to push for the puck and retrieve the puck. I'm not sure where it goes, but he looks like a type of Blue player that's third, fourth line potential, just from the physicality and the defensive awareness of where he was. And then you had goaltending. I mean, the Blues did not look great defensively. They were stuck in their zone a lot, specifically in that second period where it felt like the 15 out of the final 20 minutes was in that in their own end. But, boy, Jordan Biddington making some massive saves, none bigger than going post to post and robbing a wide-open net there in the first period. And then Colton Ellis, who comes in cold for the third period, jumps up and steals the puck and is able to keep it a tie hockey game, gets them all the way to a shootout, including killing off a 4-on-3 in overtime. So goaltending has never been a concern for the Blues, and if a positive came from this one, it's you have that third goaltender that could be available to, if something, and knocking on wood, ever were to happen to one of the two goaltenders. So my takeaways, as always, we want your takeaways. We got it working it up on YouTube right now at 101 ESPN STL, so you can jump in over there. You can also send in your text, your three takeaways, 314-399-9646. Let's do this. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get Curbs and Joey's final thoughts with their post-game breakdown, and we'll hopefully hear a little from Jim Montgomery. We'll get to some of your comments over on our YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. 2-1 the final score as the Blues fall to the Stars in a shootout. Along with Graham Francis, I'm Alex Ferrario on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN.
Winter is coming fast, and just like a great hockey team, your home needs a solid defense. At Scott Lee Heating Company, we've been keeping families safe and comfortable for over 40 years. As a Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor, our precision furnace maintenance is your power play against the cold. Call 314-756-9444 today, or request service online at scottleeheating.com. Stay warm.
The Scott Lee way.
Your home comfort, always a winning goal. Scott Lee Heating Company, your veteran, locally owned and operated Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
I'm the thread that's already inside the house. In the closet, under the bed, in the car. But I don't want your money or your TV. I can't be scared away or negotiated with. I'm patient and quiet. I don't sleep. You can't call the cops on me. You can't even see me. I'm the threat of family fire. And as long as your guns aren't stored securely, I'll be there. Protect your family. Secure all your guns. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show, presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut on 101 ESPN.
Final time tonight here on our extended postgame coverage, better known as the First Community Credit Union postgame show, which is presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut's Zwickle Light. Along with Grant Francis, I'm Alex Ferrario. A 2-1 shootout loss for the Blues in preseason action as the Dallas Stars beat St. Louis. Shots 34-15. I had a couple of people text in and say, not worried about the defense early on, more concerned where the offense was. I'm not even worried about the offense. It's the first training camp, and I think what Jim Montgomery said more of is he wants to see the competitiveness. Now, you can argue that some of that competitiveness wasn't there in the second and third period because some of those net front battles you just didn't win. But, man, it's so difficult when you look around and a lot of these guys, and this is no disrespect to them, a lot of these guys are just getting a taste of what the NHL is and are probably headed back to their juniors team or the American Hockey League. That offense will start to generate those last few preseason games right now. It's just getting the feel and a good look at what some of these NHL guys look like. And look, it's just so hard to build chemistry in one game. Dvorsky and Carbonneau have no idea how Dylan Holloway likes to play. Walker and Toropchenko play a certain way, but that doesn't mean Kaskamaki knows how they want to play. And Robertson, along with Pekka and Luff, these are guys that aren't at the same level. And Dallas has the same thing. That's why you saw a lot of back and forth, but Dallas just won more net front battles and found ways to capitalize more on Blues turnovers in that second and third period, which generated more scoring opportunities for them later in the hockey game. So let's do this. Maybe we'll hear a little from Jim Montgomery on the other side. We're still waiting to get some audio from Dallas, but we do have Chris Kerber and Joe Vitale's post-game breakdown.
All right, Alex, thank you very much. Joe, the St. Louis Blues fall in a shootout to the Dallas Stars here in preseason game number 1 by a score of 2-1. The only goal of the game for the Blues, a power play goal from Carbonneau, Mayu and Holloway assisting. Only goal for Dallas in regulation, at least, was Bork from Ernie and Petrovic. That was an even strength goal. But give us your overall view of preseason game number 1.
It was a preseason game number 1. Let's just leave it at that. There were some good points. There were some sloppy points. There were certainly some hurdles, especially in the last couple periods there. I think Jim Montgomery's comments we're going to hear pretty soon are going to summarize what he thought about the game, where it was a really good back and forth, energized first period. And then I think the wheels started to kind of fall off, and the Blues really kind of fell away from their game in the last 2 periods. Fortunately for St. Louis, they had the goaltending, the backstopping to progress them into an overtime situation where they got 1 point here in this preseason opener. But overall, Curbs, it's the first one. You know, there's things to learn from. There's certainly areas for growth. And I think that with Doug Armstrong and Alexander Steen and the whole brass here in attendance, they're looking for a few players. What are a few players? Who are a few players that are really going to jump off the page and make a stance? And like Jim Montgomery said a couple days ago, he said being good is not good enough in preseason. You want to make a team, you can't just be good. You want to make a team, you got to be great. You got to be elite, you got to stand out. You know, a couple players, some bright spots for me. I really liked Logan Mayhew's game. Played it pretty simple. He didn't overextend himself in the offensive zone. He didn't have a ton of chances, but he didn't put himself or his partner Broberg in a bad spot. He's got great reach. You saw him crush plays with his long reach. I thought he brought his physicality. He had a bit of an edge there in front of the net as well. And I really loved the way he was aggressively pinching in the offensive zone. So a very good start for Mayhew. You got to give a little kudos to Carbonneau, who scored the power play goal, had a really nice move in the shootout as well. Unfortunately, can't sneak in. But a first rounder this past year that just oozes confidence. I mean, to me, he's a player. It reminds you that this is maybe his third, fourth camp where he's got that confidence and he's got that predictability to his game. He's looking to make plays. It's hard. It's hard for a young player of his age to come in and patiently and with poise, make plays. As a young player, you feel like you're in a rush. You feel like you got zero time, but it's false. You actually have more time than you think, and the veteran players know that. But for young players, they feel like they have to make plays so quickly. So for him to come in here, and the fact that he slowly took the game over at moments and slowed the game down according to his speed really shows the amount of potential that this young man really has. So some veterans that stood out. Walker, loved him. Fight in the first period, 3 pops in the first period, led the hit parade through half the game. And with the fight, with the aggressiveness, killing penalties, they're going to be leaning on that young man quite a bit here this season. Overall, great to see Dylan Holloway there back 100% fully engaged, hitting some players, receiving some hits, really testing that out. It's been a long time since he's played some meaningful hockey, so I'm sure he's feeling great about going in there. He's now battle tested. He gave some hits, took some hits. Obviously, he's going to have some ice packs here on the plane coming home, but overall, I would say big picture, a good step for St. Louis, unfortunately with the loss, but a lot of good pieces here.
We saw good goaltending tonight.
Well, two goaltenders for the St. Louis Blues cracked my top 3 stars. Number 1 would be Colton Ellis. I mean, tough position for the young man to come in. He sits for the first 40 minutes. He comes in, and he came in to a hornet's nest of Dallas Stars where they picked up right where they left off in the second. The Stars carried the pressure from the second to the third. Ellis felt the brunt of it, and he made some spectacular saves. The Blues don't get a point in this preseason game if it wasn't, especially for that left-to-right sliding save he made with a couple minutes to go in regulation. He looked extremely athletic. We talked to Tim Taylor about him before the game. He is the number 3 goalie in this system right now. If there is a situation where Hofer or Binnington need a rest, or if there's going to be an injury this year, he will be that first call-up. It's been a 3-year progression for him. He's taken baby steps. Last year was a huge leap. He was the American League Springfield MVP last year, according to Tim Taylor, and you see why. A kid that can go in there and be a showstopper, a guy that can grab points for a team that's maybe not playing well. That's his job. Right? It's easy when the team's playing well and you got 2, 3, 4 goal leads, but it's in moments like this, it's in games like this where the team's a little sloppy, things are a little bit discombobulated. Can you be the guy that can still earn points for your team? He certainly was that here tonight, and Jordan Binnington, let's face it, he looked like Jordan Binnington.
Yeah, he did.
He made some great Gumby-like saves. He played the puck supreme. He was making some heads-up, confident plays with the puck, playing it to the defender, coming out and playing the puck, snatching pucks, getting whistles when he needed to. His time management was as good as we've seen a few months ago when the season ended. So all in all, the goaltending was a big bright spot for me too.
Why do you think the shots on goal were so lopsided? The Blues only with 8 shots on goal through the final 2 periods, had no shots on goal in overtime. It was 8-7 Dallas after the first period, but in the end, I mean, just a crazy number when you're talking, what, 12, 25, 26-8 over the last 2 periods in overtime.
It's just simple. Ozone time. Ozone time. The first period, they had ozone time. They were making smart chips. They were supporting the puck. They were in on the forecheck. They were creating turnovers. That led to low to high, use your points, get to the front of the net. The second 2 periods, I tell you what they leaned on the rush. They leaned on maybe cheating the game a little bit. They were being predictable on maybe getting chances off the rush, and they really got away from that offensive zone game. Dallas, on the flip side, they found their offensive zone game. You see them cross the blue. Guys had slashing support. They chipped to that slashing support with speed. All of a sudden, they button up in the O-zone. Everything kind of sits back. And then, of course, they go low to high. And the Dallas Stars really used their points very well. We saw a bit of a passive defensive zone coverage here for St. Louis, where, there were parts last year under Drew Bannister. We even said, you got to look on the ice. Remember, it kind of looked like they were on a power play. It looked like where the Blues were killing 6-on-5 because it was such a conservative D-zone. I almost saw a little bit of that in this first game. I'm not sure if that's a system that Jim Montgomery wants, or maybe that's just the early cobwebs they're trying to knock off here. But it definitely seemed like a very passive shrink type of defense where Dallas, when they got to the offensive zone and they zipped it from low to high, those points had lots of opportunities and time to get pucks through, and then Dallas did a heck of a job getting to the front of the net. So to me, to answer that question, why did it go from the first period where it looked so good to the next 2 periods not so good? Simply ozone time. The Blues maybe didn't manage the puck quite as good as they did in the first 20, and then that, of course, bad puck management leads to bad speed coming to the neutral zone, which can set up your forecheck, which ultimately can set up as many chances.
All right, what did you have for your Bud Light 3 stars of the game?
Colton Ellis, number 1.
Yep.
I'm going to go Sam Steele, shootout winner, number 2. And I'm going to go Bennington, number 3, with Nathan Walker, the fight and leading hit parade there, of course, with the work boots. Great to see Nathan Walker fresh off his 2-year extension, where we're going to see a lot of him over the next few years, and we're excited about that. So he'll get my first work boots of the preseason.
He played 73 games last season. That's the most he had played in any given season in the NHL, and earned a contract extension with not only his play, but his team first attitude. The Blues fall to the Stars 2-1 after the first preseason game. Preseason game number 2 comes your way tomorrow night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's get you back to Alex.
Yep, and we will talk to you tomorrow night. A 4 o'clock puck drop from Columbus, which means our pregame skate begins at 3:30 on the St. Louis Blues Radio Network. 3 o'clock right here on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN. Alex over on the YouTube chat asked if all of these postgame shows are going to be live up on YouTube. Yes, every game this season we will be live up on YouTube for postgames that you can tune into. So we hope to have plenty of all of this interaction throughout the regular season as the Blues go through once it kicks off. But preseason, we'll have post games up here on YouTube at 101 ESPN STL. That is going to close it down for us. Again, tomorrow we will kick things off with a broadcast at 3 with puck drop at 4. We'll be back with post game afterwards against the Blues and Blue Jackets. But for Chris Kerber, for Joe Vitale, and for our great producer Grant Francis, I'm Alex Ferrario. Blues fall to the Dallas Stars in preseason game number 1, 2-1 in a shootout. We'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon.